hello and good evening. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Ano, coming to you as usual from the great state of from the great state of Houston, Texas. Houston, Texas. I'd like to welcome all of you tuning in from all of continental Africa. Of course, where we'll call the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Ground Zero. Thanks for tuning in, and of course, all of you who are joining from all over the continent, USA and Europe, Canada, not forgotten. Thank you for tuning in. I come to you with very, very exciting information today, and I'm not going to waste time or take time. So please do me the favor, go ahead and hit the share button if you are watching by way of the social media. Let them know I am live. I am live. I am live on ABS television. Tonight, I'm going to be bringing you updates on the lockdown and the school resumption that we have coming up in Ambazonia. I will also be talking about the acceptance address of Philimon Yang at the United Nations a few days ago. But most importantly, there is an exclusive story that is the main subject of this broadcast, talking about the trial of foreign crime perpetrators in the USA. So please stay tuned. I'm going to be right back with you in the next 1 minute. Hit your share button and let's populate the platform. Thank you.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level.
All right, thank you for staying put in there. I hope you are hitting the share button. Again, as usual, I will be bringing you my talking point on this trial ongoing in the USA and others subjects like the school resumption and the lockdown that we've had going on in Ambazonia. And at the end of the day, I will open the phone lines to take your calls as usual. So please do me the favor, go ahead and again, hit the share button. Let others populate the platform. I will take you straight into my monologue for tonight, which I consider very, very important, and which is why I will love as many people as possible to listen to it, because there are lessons to take home, a lot of lessons to take home from this subject, the monologue, the talking point that I bring to you today. A landmark lawsuit will be heard in Denver, Colorado, in the USA on September 16, carrying immense significance. Though unrelated to Ambazonia or La République du Cameroon's conflict, this case will set a critical precedent for holding perpetrators of genocide and torture accountable. For La République du Cameroon, the message is clear. They can be persecuted upon stepping foot in the United States. This trial could pave the way for justice to catch up with those responsible for heinous crimes, no matter where they were carried out, or no matter where the perpetrators hide. The upcoming case has to do with one Captain Correa, a former member of a notorious Gambian death squad. Captain Correa faces charges of torture and conspiracy to commit torture, allegations that have long haunted the victims of Yahya Jammeh's brutal regime in the Gambia. This trial, while only the third of its kind in the United States, is a testament to the expanding reach of universal jurisdiction, laws that empower nations to prosecute certain heinous crimes under international law, regardless of where they occurred or where the crimes were carried out. This trial isn't just about one man's accountability. It speaks to a broader global push for justice for the world's most egregious violations of human rights, including war crimes, genocide, and torture. As international courts and national jurisdictions increasingly corroborate, the hope for many victims is that there are no longer any sanctuaries for those who commit these unspeakable crimes. From 1994 to 2016, 2016, Yahya Jammeh ruled the Gambia with iron fist, presiding over a regime of terror that brutalized opponents and silenced critics. Journalists, human rights defenders, student leaders, political opposition figures, LGBT people, and anyone perceived as a threat to his authority were subjected to a range of human rights abuses, including torture, extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and sexual violence. These horrific acts were largely carried out by state security forces and shadow paramilitary units, such as the infamous Junglers, a group directly linked to Jammeh Yahya and tasked with eliminating his enemies. Yahya Jammeh's fall from power came in 2017, following his defeat in the 2016 presidential election. He then fled to Equatorial Guinea, leaving behind a country grappling with the scars of his brutal rule. The violence and terror that reigned during his 22-year rule have left deep wounds in Gambian society, many of which remain unhealed to this day. But even in exile, the legacy of Yahya Jammeh's crimes persists. Captain Correa, a captain in the Gambian army, is alleged to have been a key player in the Junglers, Jammeh's feared paramilitary unit. Established in 1996, the Junglers operated outside of the Gambia's former law enforcement apparatus, answering directly to Jammeh himself. Over the years, this group was implicated in numerous crimes, including acts that have left an indelible stain on the country's history. According to both Human Rights Watch and Gambia's Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, the junglers, Yaya's paramilitary outfit, were involved in torture, killings, enforced disappearances, and other atrocities. After entering the United States in 2016, Captain Correa was arrested in 2019 for overstaying his visa. At the time, he applied for asylum, but his past soon caught up with him. International and Gambian human rights groups, alongside U.S. lawmakers, called for his prosecution on torture charges. In 2020, a U.S. grand jury indicted him on 6 counts of torture under the Federal Torture Act and 1 count of conspiracy to commit torture. His trial, beginning this week, will bring him face to face with the allegations that have haunted him for years. The Gambia's Truth Reconciliation Commission, established in 2018, was instrumental in exposing the full extent of the atrocities committed during Yahya Jammeh's rule. In its final report, issued in 2021, the Commission concluded that crimes committed by Yahya Jammeh and his associates amounted to crimes against humanity and war crimes. The report called for the prosecution of Jammeh, members of the junglers, and other key officials involved in the regime's violent crimes. While Gambia has made some progress towards justice since then, the country's efforts have been slow and incomplete. To date, only 2 prosecutions related to Yahya Jammeh era have moved forward. The Gambian government has expressed its intention to establish a special prosecutor's office and a special judicial framework for prosecuting those responsible for the most serious human rights violations in the Gambia. However, much remains to be done, and international cooperation, like the trial of Captain Correa in the USA, plays a critical role in ensuring accountability. Captain Correa's trial is expected to last about 2 weeks. During this time, the court will hear testimonies and review evidence related to the alleged acts of torture he committed as part of the junglers. The current Gambian government has cooperated in the U.S. case, providing support to U.S. authorities. Meanwhile, several organizations, including the Center for Justice and Accountability, Trial International, and the Gambian civil society groups, are working to ensure that victims of the Jammeh Yahya's reign or regime receive legal and psychological support. This trial is a significant milestone in the broader movement for justice for the victims of Yahya Jammeh's brutal regime, I guess like that of Paul Biya. It also demonstrates the growing use of universal jurisdiction by courts around the globe in recent years. Countries like Germany and Switzerland have prosecuted individuals for crimes committed during Yahya's rule, with some high-ranking officials being convicted of torture and other serious crimes. The use of universal jurisdiction is becoming an increasingly powerful tool in the global fight against impunity for atrocity crimes. As of 2024, this year I mean to say, there were 233 cases of universal jurisdiction globally, with 36 new investigations opened in 2023 alone. Civil society organizations play a critical role in these efforts, providing essential support to victims and advocating for accountability. Captain Correa's trial is part of a broader trend of increasing accountability for atrocity crimes. The United States, traditionally hesitant to embrace universal jurisdiction, may be shifting its stance at this moment. The 2023 amendments to the War Crimes Act, which extend jurisdiction over foreign nationals for crimes committed abroad, suggests that the United States is becoming more open to using its courts to prosecute international crimes. This shift has been driven in part by the war in Ukraine, which has renewed global interest in holding war criminals accountable. The upcoming trial of Captain Correa in the United States should send an unmistakable warning to Cameroon's dictators or leaders, who for the past 8 years have waged a brutal war of attrition against the people of the southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. If Ambazonians in the diaspora are strategic, they will take this opportunity to learn from the Captain Correa case and begin preparing to hold accomplices of genocide, torture, and forced disappearances accountable. I'm talking about figures such as Paul Atanganji, Emi Bankoy, Paul Tasson, Ngala Gerard, and all the rest that we all can name, who have played a part in the atrocities in Ambazonia. This trial in the U.S. is proof that impunity can no longer shield them when they commit crimes anywhere. The time has come for these enablers of state violence to face justice, not just in court of public opinion, but in legal courts abroad, where their crimes will not go unpunished. Ambazonians must rise to this moment, knowing that the long arm of justice can and will reach those responsible for their suffering. That is my talking point, ladies and gentlemen. I am being joined from London. I believe he is here with me by Barrister Lissinger, Mola Lissinger, I call him. I hope he is here with me. Okay, I think he is here. All right. Mola, it's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure to be on your program, and the best thing to me that can happen in any democracy in the world is to speak with people that you don't agree with 100% everything. So I'm happy to be on your program. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope we are going to have fun and have a didactic conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, ABS is where we have all the voices converging. It doesn't matter whether we agree in your opinion, where we believe that your opinion may matter to you, may matter to some, not to all, but we bring all of those set of opinions together for people to listen and make their judgment. I'm also being joined from Canada. I believe it's Toronto, Canada, by Barrister Chep. Mike Chep, good to have you, sir.
Greetings, Comrade Chris. It's good to be with you.
Thank you. Let me start with you, Barrister Mark. I particularly invited the two of you lawyers for this subject because you are experts in this. We are talking about a landmark case here in the USA, where the USA is putting on trial a foreign national who committed crimes, torture, killings. I mean, they call it genocidal crimes in the Gambia. during the reign of Yahya Jammeh. Uh, the story goes that he visited the USA, overstayed his visa, and then got caught up by immigration. Once caught up by immigration, they discovered he had committed a lot of crimes in the Gambia, and they took him to court. Uh, I want to know from you. I want to know from you, and this is not the first case. The son of Charles Taylor was also picked up in the USA for crimes committed in Liberia. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was sentenced and he was judged and sentenced, I think, either 72 or 92 years. That is essentially spending the rest of his life
97 years.
in prison. So, what do you make of this case? This is one of a type, and I also understand that in Switzerland, in Germany, similar cases have taken place. So it is a situation where countries are beginning to use what they call universal jurisdiction to accommodate cases of crimes committed in different countries. You look at the case of Cameroon and this present case we're talking about here. What should, number one, Cameroon be learning? Number two, Ambazonians be learning? I give you the first take, Comrade Mark.
Well, I think it's, as you said it out in your opening remarks, it's a landmark case, and every one of these types of cases that happen are a win for victims of transnational crimes, atrocity crimes, genocide crimes, gross, egregious human rights violations. And certainly their perpetrators are held to account, and it brings reprieve and some relief to these victims of these crimes. I think it sends a message that, if you commit the crimes, you will not go unpunished, so long as there is a willing actor to ensure that justice stands firm. And there are many of such willing actors. As you could see in this case, it is a case of what we say: there is no place to hide. This fellow in the US, I believe, thought that he had sort of moved to the US and so therefore escaped from the reach of the Gambian judicial system, which has undergone a lot of changes since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Gambia came into place. They were the ones that made this recommendation with respect to the junglers, and said that these folks should be held accountable for atrocity crimes. And as such, when this individual came to the US and overstayed his visit and then sought to seek asylum, little did he think that this was putting himself in the very jeopardy of what he's facing today. So, they always say 99 days for the thief, 1 day for the owner. This is a very true case of that. The law would reach you one day, someday, somehow.
Absolutely. Let me go to Barrister Lisinge out there in London to give us his perspective on this. Barrister Lisinge, your turn, please.
Thank you. Well, sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go on.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chris. And I will start by saying we welcome the United States of America to join the universal jurisdiction. Why do I say so? I'm saying it because this is a third case that America is having. America sometimes they are afraid to join like ICC because they don't want their citizens to be tried somewhere.
Right.
The first case of universal jurisdiction started in the United Kingdom, and that was with General Augustin Pinochet. He was indicted by a Spanish magistrate, and 6 days after he came to the United Kingdom, and he was arrested, and I had to stay in the United Kingdom for about 1 year house arrest. And for the first time, that's in 1998, the Universal Declaration was established, the judge in the UK said they have competence to try him. He was fortunate enough because then there was Margaret Thatcher who helped them during the Falklands War. And so General Pinochet was released. But however, it was established that authority forgets the dying king. There is no hiding place for any person. Because as you said, from our country where we come from, we see people who are meant to be elected officials. They talk down on people. They don't talk to people as if, okay, I'm an electorate. I want to talk to them. And you have to beg the electorate. We see the way the people talk. And I read the Constitution of La Republique religiously. If you look at the Article 65, the laws in La Republique said they shouldn't be doing what they are doing. We saw what happened to Wazizi. That's somebody's son, and they don't know the whereabouts of Wazizi today. We saw again the university student was arrested by the police, and the child died in custody, an Anglophone. We saw there's a lot of them, I can name the rest. People just use, you call this death squad in Gambia. Is it this set in Cameroon? It's the same. It's illegal. It's a death squad. You cannot see somebody, he commits a crime either in Bamenda or somewhere in Boya, and you take them to Yaoundé to the death squad called set. We are making sure that we keep all this evidence. And I should make it clear, this universal jurisdiction applies to all of us individuals, and you cannot say in future that, oh, I was taking order from President Paul Biya or from the military official or whatever. It is an individual thing. You see, as what happened in America, this man is somebody who has been in power, torturing people in Gambia. What happened? He became illegal in America. And what happened? He claimed asylum. And you know what asylum is? You're fleeing from your government because your government cannot protect you. So you want the American government to protect you because of maybe it was political, religion, or whatever reason. But this was somebody who was in power. He was in power like the Atanga Anjis, and they were making mouth. So there's no hiding place. Authority forgets the dying king. I'm not saying it's only the government. I see a lot of people in the Cameroons, they are causing a lot of atrocity. And to me, I am very neutral. I read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights religiously. So my principles are based on that. There are a lot of people don't know. I read it. And when I know something is against the law, whether it's international law, I make sure I read it and I know what I'm doing. And that was one of the reasons when I was called to go to the Cameroons during the national dialogue. I went there, I was not scared. I know what I'm doing. I've never committed a crime. I know the things that I do. And unfortunately, most of these people who are supporting a regime in the Cameroons that's oppressing its people, to be honest, Mr. Biya at his age, he's going to go scot free because I don't think any Western court will ever try Mr. Biya. Do you know why? He can go to the court. Now he's in power, he can say it's okay. If Mr. Biya is not in power today, you cannot try him. Why? He will say, I don't understand the hearing. I'm blah, blah, blah. I lost my memory. They will let him go. But the people who sit there today and support a government that does not care about its people, we are waiting for you. Some of you will meet me here and apply for asylum. I might be your lawyer. We are waiting for them.
Absolutely, I think you make a lot of sense out of that. But let us look at it this way. For anything like this to happen, to any official perpetrator of torture and crimes, Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, must rise up and do what the Gambians in the diaspora have done, making sure that this guy was arrested and tried in the USA, isn't it, Comrade Mark?
Yeah, so there's a few things, Comrade Chris. If you just follow the narrative or the story of what happened in Gambia, first of all, you have to have a change in the governance structure, and you have to have willing parties who are prepared to stand up for the principles of justice, as my learned colleague outlined, who are prepared to uphold the rule of law, and who are prepared to ensure that perpetrators of this nature are brought to justice. You have to have victims who show resilience and are willing to continue the fight to seek justice for their loved ones who have been the victims of this brutal type of systems. You have to have allies. Like you see in these cases, you have international legal organizations, international humanitarian organizations that have provided the necessary support that the victims needed and the avenues for them to be able to bring this case to the forefront. Then you have to have the diaspora communities who are also able to ensure that wherever these folks, perpetrators, go to hide, that they ensure that they bring this up to the attention of the authorities. So if you look at the case in Gambia, you would see that there was a change in government. The government of this time, 2018, when he entered the U.S., Yahya Jammeh's government ended in, I think, 2016 or 14. But the new government initiated what was called the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we see that in the aftermath of very brutal regimes or conflicts, to try to get to the bottom of all the things that we've talked about: extrajudicial killings, disappearances, torture, genocide, atrocity crimes. And so they usually try to investigate those things and come up with some recommendations on how the nation can move forward. And so in that case in Gambia, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission actually came out with a report that identified specifically the junglers as some of the entities that should face prosecution for the crimes they committed under the regime of Yahya Jammeh. And then what followed was that the prosecutions, the Attorney General's office in Gambia, also picked that up, which means that the state institutions was subject to the rule of law and upheld the rule of law. They submitted themselves to that final to the recommendations of that report, and so these investigations all began. And then you have the international legal and
But let me stop you
humanitarian
there.
organizations.
Let me stop you there a little bit. Now that happened in the Gambia because you have a new government, isn't it? Because of course Yahya Jammeh escaped to Equatorial Guinea. I think he still lives there now. Now, in the case of Cameroon, let's assume that Bié is gone and he escapes from the law. Those who take over, those who take over from him can initiate something like this, who then bring people like Emi Bankoe, the Ngos, the Dion Gutes, the Paul Atangangis, the Paul Tassong, the Enjera Garas, and all those guys. A new government can initiate something that brings them to book, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a new government, but what I think I'm saying by laying that foundation is that there has to be an enabling environment. That is the easiest and the most effective way for this to happen, right? So if we play the scenario of the Cameroons, as you're saying, it would depend what the nature of the change in government in Cameroon looks like, and who are the actors in that government, and whether they want to uphold and subscribe to the rule of law or not. So we've seen other countries in Africa where a change in government has just meant a change from one autocratic, brutal regime to the next. So in that scenario, you'll be hard pressed to see something like this really happening. So what I'm saying is there was a confluence of events that happened to make this possible. And perhaps to answer one of the points you raised at the beginning of your of the broadcast, that this is only the third time this is happening, and this is for good reasons. It's because it's not only a challenging exercise and has challenges to get to a point where an indictment is proffered, but it's so because of that confluence of events. And so that takes time for all those things to happen. And it needs resilience of all of the actors who seek justice to ensure that time is not the currency we are working on. Because no matter how long it takes, justice would always prevail. And so, in the case of Cameroon, I know you asked the question specifically about Ambazonians. I think that we have to see how things play out with respect to this conflict. If we were to resolve this conflict at a negotiated settlement, there will be room and space for a truth and reconciliation commission that would have to do some fact finding about the gross atrocities, the atrocity crimes, the acts of genocide that have been perpetrated against the people of the southern Cameroons. And may I add, as the learned barrister was also adding, that it's not only limited to government officials. So that is why, in the grand scheme of things, when we talk about how we should conduct ourselves in the prosecution of this struggle, we often talk about adherence to international humanitarian law, adherence to the rule of law, and ensuring that, yes, there are certain areas where, because of the nature of the type of liberation movement in which we're involved, some things are just difficult, but nevertheless, it is incumbent on everybody to exercise their best ability to respect the laws as it is, because justice always comes.
I think you mentioned a very critical point there, which is the aspect that concerns those of us in the struggle prosecuting the war, because I think these kind of cases are not limited to those in power. They also extend to those of us who are at the forefront of this, carrying out the prosecution of the war, which is why we keep on warning every other leader and the fighters on the ground. We're not trying to tie your hands, but we are saying you never know how the war ends. You could end up in a situation where the things that you have carried out, the things you have done, the crimes you've committed, the torture you've perpetrated against civilians, you could be made one day to face the law anywhere else. Not, you may say, well, I am here in Ambazonia or I am here in the USA and nothing is going to happen to me. No. In fact, let me make this point. Do you know why some of our comrades from Ngo Ketunjia are still in detention today, 2 years after? It is because some Ngo Ketunjia residents of the USA, they contacted lawyers and gave evidence against those comrades, and those comrades are in detention, still waiting trial, 2 years after, which is why this universal jurisdiction thing does not only apply to those in power. It applies to those who are out there fighting for the kind of wars, freedoms that we are fighting. Let me go to Barrister Lisenge. I would like you to, if you have any idea, you are a lawyer, some of these people have properties in the diaspora. Is it also possible to squeeze them, to go after their properties, and if so, how?
What I'll tell you, there's something that's very important, because there is the law, and sometimes some of these people, they have people who are their backers. But I'll tell you, there is a difference between Francophonie countries and English-speaking countries in Cameroon. And as things stand, Cameroon is seen as if it's a francophone country. You know, whether it's football everywhere, you see people they talk about it. And I'll tell you, France is 100% behind what is happening in Cameroon, and they have influence. But nonetheless, it's just that I don't have time. Sometimes there's nothing wrong to try things. We have some of these people who are in government in La Republic. If I have things, sometimes you have to prepare a case. If they come here for a visit, Commonwealth, you can submit something in the court, they will detain them. Even if it doesn't proceed or they don't indict them. But sometimes we have to humiliate them by trying to draft something and produce their crime. It is possible in the UK. I will tell you the truth. If a minister in Cameroon comes to the UK and you can draft something and send it to the court, they will detain that minister if they know there's torture or what. It doesn't matter. It is possible to do that. And again, when you talk about seizing people's property, you have to understand why they have to seize it. You don't just do verbal language or what. You have to have case law and you have to prepare your case properly, or else they will say that is they can throw the case out of court. But one thing I'm sure without doing any research today, it is possible for these people who are running La République du Cameroon, if they come out of the country, you prepare your case well. It doesn't concern the government. You submit it to the crown prosecutor. They can detain them like General Pinocchio. Maybe at the end of the day, they might let them go away, but at the end of the day, they will still detain them. It is possible. It's just that one needs that time, because at the moment, there is somebody is not working with the government of Cameroon that is doing government propaganda. Some time ago, he took my picture. I went for a rally, blah blah blah, in London, and he was sharing it in some WhatsApp group that I'm a terrorist. I'm gathering information. He doesn't know. He lives in this country. I will make sure he goes to prison because he is a terrorist. I will tell you why that person is a terrorist. He is not working for the government. They does government propaganda. He said they should kumkumize people. He keep on saying all those things. I'm gathering evidence as individual. I will put him in jail in this country. You know him. He doesn't know. I will put him. He lives in the UK. Doing those things. He doesn't know. He calls people terrorists. He is a terrorist because why? Terrorism is what? Using unlawful violence against civilians. He goes around. He's not working in the government, I say, but he lives in the UK. He hides his identity. But I know him. I'm gathering evidence. He even put my own picture, call me I'm a terrorist. And I have his number. So those people, I will start by
Are
setting
you
my
referring?
own.
I'm sure there is a guy in London there with you. I want to believe you are referring to the guy who keeps on making audios and telling everybody how he is the one
He is a
responsible.
terrorist, what he's doing. He
Yeah, he's
doesn't
a terrorist.
know.
The guy,
He's
my
saying that
country
they should
people or some
compromise
my country
people.
people or something like that.
He is a terrorist. He keep on saying that they should compromise people.
Right.
That's what he's promoting it. He doesn't work for a government. He's using it for terrorism. The difference between a normal crime and terrorism is that you are using it for political purpose. So he is supporting government torture or whatsoever, and he lives in this UK. As I say, he once published my picture and wrote the terrorist. I'm gathering those evidence. When I'm ready, they will arrest him in the UK, or he has to run and go and live in the Republic.
I
Because
hope
I'm
you're
doing
able
that.
to locate his address and get photos of him.
No, I will not do that. It is easy. In this country, you cannot hide in the UK. My point, I'm doing it, it's a personal matter because he took my picture. I went for a demonstration, wrote it long ago, terrorist. I've been monitoring what he's saying. You cannot sit and be incited that they should compromise people. He says those things, I have all the evidence. That is terrorism. He is not part of the government, but he's promoting that they should kill civilians. If you don't do this, you don't go to GDR, they will compromise you. He doesn't know what he's doing. He is a terrorist.
Comrade Chaps, tell us what obtains in Canada. Is it possible in Canada for trials like this to happen there?
Yes, and in fact, it has. And to get to your point, universal jurisdiction, finds its future in the Geneva Conventions, and so it allows in Canada to prosecute individuals who are present in Canada, regardless of their nationality, that have committed those crimes that we talked about. Now, Canada has also created internally, domestically, a jurisdiction or a regime to sort of bring in that universal jurisdiction to make it more applicable and expanded so that it can do so. There have been cases in Canada where people who were part of certain resistance movements back in Africa and other countries that escaped to Canada. I remember the most popular one was the one of somebody who had been accused. He was a civilian, but he had been accused of participating and inciting the Rwandan genocide. That is, I think, what similar to what the barrister was referencing. So not necessarily the government, but kind of tied to the government in their incitement of violence and atrocity crimes against civilians. It was a long case. Eventually, they were held accountable for that, and they had sought asylum in Canada. You also have cases where property, just going back to the question you asked about property, we've seen cases here where properties of regimes or government officials who are known for excesses that have been concealed here through their family members, have been sort of seized, or investigations have been open to that. So there's all kinds of legal instruments available to pursue these things. I think that it should not be lost on us. While those are great strides for justice-seeking victims, we should not overlook the challenges necessarily. Some of these cases take a long time, but nevertheless, justice ensues. I'm just thinking of one of the challenges is that sometimes the person has to be on the soil, right? Like in the case there in the U.S., the person had to be in the USA to come under that jurisdiction. And interesting enough, in that case in the U.S., the accused had argued against jurisdiction. He had tried to argue that the U.S. had no jurisdiction because his activities happened long before U.S. Took up universal jurisdiction, and so that they were far removed. He was trying to argue about the remoteness of his crimes or the proximity to the time period in which he was being tried, and that was all dismissed or not agreed to by the court. So there are certainly some challenges, but I think overall, ultimately, it is a very, very positive step for holding people accountable.
Let us again look at this question as to how Ambazonians can put themselves together, see what they can do in this situation, because as you all know, we have quite a handful of people back in Cameroon who are responsible for some people say 6,000 people have been killed. Some reports say 30,000 people have been killed. We all know official reports talk of 400 villages burned down, decimated, and you have, of course, not to talk of property loss, private property loss. What can Ambazonians in the diaspora, if anything you know of, can begin to do to bring some of these people to book? They are in the U.S. like almost every day. So for those listening out there, if any idea as lawyers, not just in the U.S., in Europe, in London, what can Ambazonians do to take advantage of this universal jurisdiction law?
So if I may just jump in, I think the first thing is that we have to be very vigilant and pay attention to how we preserve evidence and collect evidence. That is the key factor, because a lot of these things happen long after the offenses have been committed. So really, like in the case of Gambia, fortunately, you had the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that actually was a credible body that did the investigations and provided a report that was accepted as credible. So when it laid out that evidentiary pathway, it is more likely to be accepted or taken up in a foreign jurisdiction. The challenge we have now is that we have a lawless sort of country that doesn't adhere to the rule of law or subscribe to, the principles of justice. So it makes it challenging because the evidence that exists may be evidence that is informally collected. And so in the current dispensation, there are rules of evidence, and so there needs to be some mechanism to authenticate, whether it's the collection evidence, the preservation down on the ground. But usually after a conflict or after a regime, bodies like Truth and Reconciliation Commissions or other commissions that are set up, are credible and accredited institutions that when they produce those reports, they are taken prima facie as for the truth of its content, right? So that is the little bit of a challenge right now. But what I think people can do, and I think there's a lot of that going on. We have the Genocide Library. We have a lot of projects on how to collect evidence. One of the things that we saw in the Ukraine-Russia conflict is that the international bodies provided Ukraine with the mechanisms and the tools to be able to gather and preserve evidence of atrocity crimes. That is something that is clearly lacking in our own conflict. And so it has largely been left to us using our own devices. But I must commend the hard work that is being done by a lot of great lawyers on the ground. I'm thinking about, you saw the write-up that was produced by Barrister Mungwa concerning Mr. Ngala Gerald. I think those are the types of work that begins to triage the evidence, that begins to put a spotlight on the narrative around what people are doing, these perpetrators and individuals. And eventually, when the time comes, I think when you follow that kind of narrative, you can actually bring out the evidence. But more importantly, we need our people to know how to collect this evidence, to preserve it, to ensure that key things are kept, so that records are kept, so that when those times come, we have something solid to stand on.
Chris, your mic.
Yeah, sorry. Alex, you make the last point there, please. What is there anything that you think of in London that Southern Cameroonians can do to begin to make sure that some of these guys, when they come visiting London, they are taken to court as you suggested?
Before I answer this question, there was something you talk about the property. I would say, like in England, we have what we call Proceeds of Crime Act. If you commit a crime and you profit from something, they will seize your property. So there's proceeds of crime. Then there was something that came more recently, they call unexplained wealth. If you have a wealth, example, you have wealth in the UK, and they will ask you, where did you get blah blah blah? If you cannot explain it, they will seize it. You will have to explain where you get the money. So there are laws in the UK that governs or protect people when it comes to wealth that you cannot explain. So my point is, I'm always in that position that I don't look at the easier bit of it. These guys are in power. You have powerful people in America and UK. Some of them are like Glencoe. They are very wealthy. Some of them are Savannah Energy, the oil company, Chad Cameroon, you know about this problem. So sometimes when you are in power, as my colleague said, when you're in power, it's more difficult to deal with these people because there are a lot of business people. You know, most politicians, they are being backed by business people, they sponsor them. So when you are in power, it's more difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like today, I gave an instance of General Pinochet, the former Chilean dictator. He came to this country. He committed crime against humanity. But he was lucky. People look at their national. I always say the greatest law on earth is national interest. Margaret Thatcher went and visited General Pinochet. He helped Britain during the Falklands War to maintain that island, which Argentina claim is part of their country. So sometimes these people, they have to bypass the law because of national interest. The UK government, former conservative government, said national interest is more than any other law. So besides, you see, this francophonie, France is always beside them. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm telling you factual thing how it works. But at some point in time, I believe if we have time, we start preparing cases, these violations that have happened in Cameroon. They come here for Commonwealth. You can submit it in court, they will detain them. I tell you, even if they release them after, because a judge, example, if you are any government official from La Republique, you come to the UK, we submit a case that they should detain you, you have commit blah blah blah. They will detain you. If you were supposed to go, you wouldn't go until that case is heard in the court. So those are the type of things we can start doing, and they will limit traveling to the Western world. Insofar as I go and put a case there, maybe he won't succeed, but they will detain them. They have to answer it. Those are things that we have not been doing. And if we start doing that, they will detain them. It's 100% because the judiciary in this country is independent. So what happened after that? But if they detain, example, a minister comes here and they detain you, you were supposed to leave after 2 days. Like General Pinochet spent, is it 1 year in house arrest in this country? We need to tell them to, those will be a warning sign that they should know, that they should learn how to treat their people. Those are the type of things that in future, I believe we should do it. And it's the law. Whether they like it or not, they cannot stop us to do it because they don't even follow their own constitution in the Cameroon.
Wonderful. That is very well articulated. I just hope that our people listening to us can begin to take advantage of some of these laws to go after these guys who are a thorn in the flesh of our families back home. Comrade Mark, I don't know how much time you still have. I was going to have us look briefly into Philimon Yang's welcome address at the United Nations General Assembly, United Nations the other day. You still have a moment?
Like 5 minutes. I need to go.
All right, I will let you go. I will let you go. I will let you go.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for being
Next
part of
time
the show.
I'll speak.
All right,
Thank
thanks
you
for being
very
part
much.
of the show.
Okay.
Mola, hanging in there. We're gonna get out for a brief break, and when we come back, we'll take you to the United Nations with Philimon Yang. Stay put, please.
His Excellency, Mr. Dennis Francis, President of the General Assembly for the 78th session, Excellency Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to stand before you as the President of the General Assembly for its 79th session, and I am humbled and grateful that the membership has entrusted me with this immense responsibility. My sincere thanks also go to President Francis, under whose leadership the General Assembly navigated a year filled with great challenges and uncertainty, guided by his watchwords of peace, progress, prosperity, and sustainability. I express my deep appreciation and gratitude to His Excellency, Mr. Paul Biya, President of the Republic of Cameroon. I accept this distinctive honor as a testament of our shared aspirations for a better world. Our world faces numerous challenges. Climate change is devastating the planet and endangering countless lives and societies. Conflicts and armed violence rage on from Sudan to Haiti, from Ukraine to the Gaza Strip, leaving trails of death, destruction, and wanton misery worldwide.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Philimon Yang, the 79th President of the United Nations General Assembly. Mr. Yang is from Ambazonia and former Prime Minister of the Cameroons, as Mola Alex Lissinger will call it. Now, he addresses every war zone in the globe. It doesn't mention his own country. That is, I'm referring to Ambazonia, the conflict in Cameroon, between Cameroon and Ambazonia. You know, kind of trying to give a semblance of peace, tranquility, unity everywhere in one and indivisible Cameroon, this time including Ambazonia as, they believe. Among other things, Philimon Yang says he will promote multilingualism. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Philimon Yang is not addressing the world community. He is addressing Southern Cameroonians that bilingualism is here to stay. Preaching the message of inclusivity that basically means annexation, assimilation, marginalization, and everything. I don't know what multilingualism got to do to Philimon Yang and to the United Nations. How important is multilingualism? I don't get it. If anything, again, he is sending a subliminal message to Ambazonians. Bilingualism, Cameroon's bilingualism is here or in Cameroon to stay. This war you guys are fighting, it will not end in you having Ambazonia. We forever are going to remain one Cameroon. But another thing that Philimon Yang doesn't fail to do is to make sure he gives all the credit for him being at the United Nations to the head of state. The head of state. He thanks the head of state. I can't believe that this guy is carry this cacophony all the way to the halls of the United Nations. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a U.S. representative coming to stand on the pulpit to say, I thank President Biden for sending me here? Can you imagine that? These people never learn. They always pander to who is giving them instructions and putting the money in their pocket. Mola Lissinger, this is what you wrote. Something I found quite interesting. Shameless young Philemon compensated for destroying the Cameroons. Minister since 1975, thanking beer and fighting for the environment. With no roads, no pipe-borne water, no hospitals, fighting for peace and justice, linguistics, gender equality, human dignity and equality, effective peace strategy, resolution of conflict in Gaza and Ukraine, no British Southern Cameroon, he mentions. I'd like you to drive that point again, Mola Alex.
Ever since I was born, Mr. Chris, This is the most shameful thing I've heard in my lifetime. You are in the United Nations, you're thanking the head of state. You
Yeah.
see, the problem in the Cameroon is so intrinsic. These people, they know their lifeline, the air they breathe. The day Mr. Bia is not there, they are all finished. They know that. So they will die at anything. And you see, he talks about road. Mr. Yang Philimon, somebody which, because I distinguish their position with individual. This is someone who come from CPC. He has been minister since 1975. I was a baby, I'm sure my eyes were not even open. And even they have worked in top position. Young Philimon should go and be talking. I was disappointed. You cherry pick. At the end of the day, Chris, we are Anglophones, British Cameroonians.
Right.
Sometimes I will not blame Mr. Bia. I will blame people like Young Philimon
Oh
because
yeah.
it's not because of them. What they are doing, they are playing their game, they are eating. They will go behind the scene. They will say something else, which I know I won't say it on this program because it's not official. But when they sit there, you thank the head of state in the UN. You're thanking Bia. I've never
Yeah.
seen that in my life. Out of is it 78 presidents that have been in this situation. He comes from Noni. I saw some people, they are thanking Mr. Yang Philimon. He went and tar a little bit road that's going towards his village in Noni. And you're thanking that person. Because we have a country, to me, Cameroon is the worst country in the universe. To me. They don't govern the country. I'm disappointed because Mr. Yang is somebody that I know personally. But at the end of the day, I always make them to understand when I'm doing my politics, I don't care whether I know you. Because at the end of the day, 1975 to now, he talks about peace in Ukraine. Mr. Yang, do you know Ukraine? Do you know where it is? No. In Gaza, and he cannot talk about Cameroon. He's instead thanking President Paul Biya, which there's an ongoing unrest in British Cameroon. They have never addressed it. You're thanking Mr. Biya for what? For your position.
Of
It's a
course.
disgrace. I don't respect the United Nations, me personally. I don't respect it because people like Robert Mugabe, they have tried to change the United Nations, whether it's Ezekiel something. A lot of people have tried. These people don't want to change the new world order. That's why they'll go after China. They'll go after Russia. Because the United Nations, to me, was made up by people who promoted what? Slave trade, colonialism, apartheid. I remember in Manchester, out of London, I met the Assistant Secretary General for Kofi Annan. I asked him this question: is colonialism, slave trade, apartheid, is it not crime against humanity? Off the air, he told me that they are crime against humanity. That's why I don't bother with these people because they are looking at their interests. Mr. Yang is a compensation. Probably a government have to maybe nominate you to stand for that position. Paul Biya did that. And most of these people, some of them, even before we were born, the reason why they thank the head of state is simple. If they are sick, they give them free medical listing. You saw one of my professors, Professor Joseph Owona, they give them, that's why they keep on supporting it. I saw one Southern Cameroonian, London man, is it Benjamin? He said Paul Biya is still strong enough to be president in 2025.
I
When
mean,
you
don't you
see
see all
people
the
all
rallies taking
the
place? Don't you see the rallies taking place in Manu, in
no, no, no,
Boya,
no,
and I
my
think
point is
Victoria?
we have reduced the Cameroons to nonsense. Cameroon is not a country, and to me, I will say this plain on your program. If I was a president, none of Mr. Bia's minister would be in my government because these people they don't have brains, and Mr. Bia deliberately put them there in order to sing their song. And as we speak, Cameroon have got a new president. Paul Biya is not the president of Cameroon. Paul Biya is like a trademark, a Coca-Cola bottle. They just put him in front. There's already a new president in Cameroon. We already have it.
Yeah.
And his name is Frank Biya. He doesn't appear. We go Ngongo, Ayolo. Frank Biya is the one ruling Cameroon as we speak. He was there at the head of state summit, in the head of state whatever.
He was in China.
He was in France. He is the one ruling Cameroon as we speak. So forget about those things, that election. Those are just fixed things. And we're talking about universal jurisdiction. These people, they want to make sure there's continuity. If there's continuity, they won't face the long arm of the law. That is what they are doing. They are looking for continuity. It has happened all over Francophonie African countries, but I think it's not going to work in the Cameroon. At the end of the day, when I speak my politics, I don't care whether Mr. Yang is an Anglophone or what, but their actions are killing a lot of people in our country. If I should ask Mr. Yang, go and stay in your village, can he stay there? No. I'm sure 80-something% they don't have lights. They don't have roads. For how many years? Why can Mr. Yang, can they be doing this? I'm telling you, Mr. Chris, at the end of the day, should we be having somebody who have been, how do you call it, Prime Minister since 1975 to be standing in the UN? Look at South Africa. It's a young democracy. I see young people, very young people, younger than myself, creating new party, winning seats, debating in parliament, talking different opinions. They kept it in Western Cape. People say they want to secede. They create a political party. They are not killing them. So why is it that in Cameroon that they claim they should have been more advanced than South Africa? Why are they killing people for exercising their political opinion? They don't read the law. If you look at the law in Cameroon, Article 65, you are entitled to say your political opinion. Secession is not a crime. Independence is not a crime. Why is it only in the Cameroon that they keep on killing people for exercising their political opinion?
Yeah, because they have people like Philimon Yang, who just dance to the tune of the piper. It's unfortunate what is going on in that country. They keep on grandstanding and hoping that their grandstanding will win them this war. Unfortunately, it is not going to happen. I was supposed to be joined by Comrade Agbo Derek from Norway. He's been connected for a while, but I don't find him. If you can listen, if you can hear me, you join the set, please. Join the set. Mola, thank you for joining me today. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay put. Stay put. We'll be right back.
Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
The biggest gang leader for them for year when Cyprian. I see for video talk the other day say he never deny me school no go. Me then wait there he go talk their way school go. Well mean say even the people the way they be absent school, they talk say now because of him where they deny. Now lie. That picking they do their own batting. The boys and for bush, they do their own batting. But for deny school, not still be true their own part of their distance. That means say, even man way Lucifer don't deny it, he don't deny a teacher and vice minister and principal where they say over this school. You feel imagine that kind of thing. But I promise when I say how I they go back so this school year, the school go start. Any man way picking down there for compound will not fit go school because of school fees. For year, we don't hear with commander. He don't talk say the first 20 people then. You go buy all things give them. If they're there for a year amongst una, if you know myself, una feel register, and first share the one way the school team the way with Papa, when I picking for Jiba missing dance, so when I SDO from Gokutunja, now you don't send way to the Sam for this, so I go share them for una when I school team them. Paketong and this in Congo, now picking for this, what am I yourself say that you want to be na Papa a long way again for this school. We the one that wait again from human being. I be sorry, say this school be locked, it not be una fault. Not be fault for this beginning for bush. Not be fault again for get sibling for as the way to talk for that which you all we don't hear so. And no person where they fall na and na person where they under me. And I dey promise say how I dey go so. This suffer for year. I dey talk sorry and say the suffer it will end. It will end. Any picking mean no picking not strong for her say you no get place say school not there. They will come. I will go hold them strong. I be kind of a check whether they day. They not there. I will go hold them strong. Say me them come back. Take care for this picking them. Any picking way this person highway Reverend Father don't talk. Schools them will open. Catholic school, Presbyterian school, mission school, lay private school, all them will open. Person they will get the money, get the means for sending picking for that one. Then me then go there with no problem. Person there where he picking get sense, but that money is not there. This school it could be open. President Pobia don't pay school fees for all man for Cameroon. For the way if you come for a year, about 90% of the school fees don't already pay because if they pay all the teachers then, like unlike the other schools, they need school fees for una for pay teacher. For year all teachers they receive their salary. So at the tell when I say any picking we come for you don't already give commandant don't give 20 free. We go pay the school fees for you at 10,000 and 7,500. It already take 20. Me myself with my own small level. I not announce my own number. I don't know why I will take all the rest because I know the count on myself. I the count on Papa SDO Ketong. I the count on the Honorable Njimbu Musa and all the politicians where they for here where they be ready. Say me picking the way they no get them. Me them put hand support them. Now what I come for Bamising today for raise, say sorry, encourage when I say Muna take an impatient. We will spray this, the grass don't start grow how I will clear on that time, how we all will be trying clear on that last time. We will spray them today and then we'll go, I will go now put a pressure for that people. They say I don't come here at school, I not see you, be then outside. Then I hope say by next week they will come, they start their school fully. Now which is that what one come talk for Una today.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I am laughing at the frustrations of the colonial officer there. You can't believe that no teacher showed up. No teacher showed up. Not even the principal showed up in school. And by the way, look at the school covered in grass. And you have those, I don't know whether those are students. I doubt if those are students. Those, because you can see that there are some mothers there and some younger ones there. They are not students. So he's addressing mothers. So probably some of them came with their kids to see whether schools will go on. And they found nobody, no principal, no teacher, and the school is covered in grass. And the colonial officer is trying to save his head by trying and putting, he actually ordered this to be videoed so he can put out in the social media and let the authorities in Bamenda and in Yaoundé know he tried his best. He did everything with the commandant, but this principal is wicked. He didn't show up. The teachers were wicked. They didn't show up. And there's another footage here I like to play.
Campus of government bilingual high school Bamising Dub within the framework of the inspection of effective resumption of the 2024-2025 academic year. You see the number of students that are here at the campus. But there is no principal, there is no vice principal, there is no teacher here at the campus of Government Bilingual High School. You see the campus is visible, is accessible after the administrative authorities under the coordination of the Ezongo Okotunja sent us here. We cleared the school campus and made it accessible, made it visible. Unfortunately, the principal, the vice principal, there is no staff here present at the school campus. Today is Thursday, the 4th day of the 2024-2025 academic year. I used this opportunity to call upon the vice principals, the principals, the school administration to regain their job sites. Come to your job site. The consequences should not be blamed on the DO or administrative authority. Government is going to take its responsibility if this situation does not change. It's not acceptable for the 7th academic year now. This school campus should be closed. It's not acceptable. I rang the bell, everything is intact. Whatever they need when they start the school campus, they will present it and it will be resolved. I'm calling upon them to gain their job site. A civil servant who is absent from his job site for 30 consecutive days ceases to be a civil servant. I'm repeating this call, and it will be the last time I'm repeating this call. They should regain their job sites. Thank you very much.
You heard that? The man is essentially trying to save his job. He's essentially trying to save his job. He said, let this not go on the head of the SDO, referring to himself. Now, did you guys realize that behind him there are gendarmes seated behind him, and they want children to be in school with the military sitting there in school? Look at it. Look at where they call school. Look at how covered in grass it is, and they want people to come to school. Whatever the case, I really like to thank every parent and every school administrator and every teacher on ground zero for heeding to our calls for schools to resume only in Ambazonia on September 17. I can't make this clearer enough. I have said it again and again. Ambazonia independence movement isn't against schools resumption in Ambazonia. We preach school resumption. We preach for every child to go to school. What we do not want to see are French Cameroon operated schools where they send French headmasters, French principals, French lecturers to exclusively Anglo-Saxon educational system. We will never accept that again. We will never accept that again. Until the system is changed, until we have taken back our country, and even if we don't, that will never happen, that a French teacher will be in a classroom where it is an Anglo-Saxon system teaching chemistry, teaching history, teaching economics, teaching maths in French to English students. We are in an 8-year war which started over the invasion of our educational system. And somebody out there think that we should allow this so-called government grammar, government bilingual, government this to operate in Ambazonia. Never again. Never again. And so, again, I'd like to thank every school in Ambazonia, every teacher, every headmaster, every principal for shutting down your school and getting ready to reopen those schools for all Ambazonian children beginning September the 17th. In the meantime, lockdown continues until the 16th. And then the 17th, the roads are left open to flow for children to go to school and businesses to resume operations. Please take this message, pass it over, let everybody know. We are very, very excited at the success of this lockdown. We have learned of a number of skirmishes in Kumba where the colonial officials, especially Kumba DO, Kumba 2 DO. We have learned of him sending his counselors with the mayor. I actually understand that he is fighting with the mayor over who collect taxes in Kumba. And what they are doing today is they go around in Kumba locking up people's shops. They go around in Kumba shutting down people's shops. We also learned that is going on in the municipality of Boya, in Tico, and I think other places. We are giving the DO for Kumba 2 precisely. We are giving the DO for Kumba 2 precisely up to Tuesday. Up to Tuesday. Up to Tuesday. I didn't say Monday only because Monday is ghost town. We are giving the colonial officer for Kumba 2 up to Tuesday to make sure that every shop that has been sealed is open for business beginning on Tuesday in the city of Kumba and in Boya and in Tico and Motengene. Well, I guess some of you will be saying, or you may be saying, what will you do? What will you do if the shops are not unlocked? Well, I will say you wait until then. You wait until then. If you want the people to feel pain, we will make sure that you feel the pain too. We will make sure you feel the pain too. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, schools will resume in Ambazonia September the 17th upward, and we really hope that all the children will have a wonderful school season in Ambazonia 2024-2025. At this moment, I am going to open the phone lines, take your calls, and see what you have. I will take a brief break out, and when I come out, I will take your phone calls. Please stay put. You got the phone line there on your screen. You are welcome to call on into the show to make a contribution or to ask a question. The phone line is open, and remember, before you call, make sure that the volume of your set is turned down. Make sure the volume of your set is tuned down before you call. Hello. Hello. Okay, I think we lost that caller. Again, the phone line is there on your screen. Make sure you turn down the volume of your phone before you call. All right. All right. Now, let me also add this. I see some messages out there telling people that national lockdown ends on the 23rd. I need everybody on ground zero to listen to me. When we institute lockdowns, we have reasons for which we do it, and every time we do that, we come to you to explain exactly why we are calling for a lockdown. And we don't have to make them unnecessarily long, past the reason for which those lockdowns were called. In this case, the lockdown was called to stop La République du Cameroon operated schools from resuming September the 9th. That is why September the 9th was the beginning of lockdowns. We made it very clear up to September the 16th. Our own schools begin September the 17th. And anybody who is out there talking about lockdown to September the 23rd is not serious. Nobody should listen to that. Nobody should respect that. We are not going to suffer our own people unnecessarily. All right, let me get to this caller first. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. This must be Canada.
Yeah, this is Canada speaking.
All right, what is on your mind, sir? Good. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I just want to make some contribution regarding Philimon Yang, who was appointed the 79th chairperson of the UN session.
Right.
Information we have from insiders within the regime is that because of the Ambazonian War of Liberation, there are some rumors within the regime that they might pull a fast one by making an Anglophone a leader of the country.
Making an Anglophone the president of Cameroon.
Yes. So, Philimon Yang was like the most probable choice if that has to happen. Because of that, the strong gang around Bia have been looking for means to displace Philimon Yang. So what they did was that they now suggested Philimon Yang to Paul Bia to go to the United Nations, as he has done, on the basis that after this session, politically he will no more be active within the regime, so he's off the way.
But then, does that even make sense? Is Philimon Yang the only one who can make for the president of Cameroon? Well, how about...
That's a good question, but that was their choice. They thought that was the most probable choice. So if they can get him off the way, of course, if he's lucky that it didn't kill him like the Bandam, then that's good for him. But the whole idea is that after this session, he's no more active in the political regime of Cameroon, like minister, whatever. That's information that we're told by an insider. So it's a way of the regime getting him off the road.
Because I have heard that story, that narrative before, the talk of the mention Dion Ngute, because he is equally as good a puppet as Philimon Yang. And there are many others. I don't know of any Anglophone, as they call it, whom they will put there who will not do what they want.
That's true. Who knows? You never know.
Even a Bobala will do exactly what they want if they put him there.
Well, I think sometimes what we see from outside might not be the same. Why do I say so? In Angola, the most trusted person who took over from Eduardo dos Santos was his vice president. But when he took over, he arrested all of Eduardo dos Santos' family, chased them out of the country, seized their wealth. So you never know. He himself was a trusted ally of Aidjo, the most trusted. When he took over power, he chased Aidjo away. So you never know.
Well, but yeah, they did all of that. What difference did it make on governance?
Well, the truth is, to us,
they were only trying to consolidate their own power.
That's true, but to us, we the Ambazonia liberator fighters, we have no issue with that. But I'm just saying that some insider told us that is why they are trying to make sure that all active people like the Yang should be displaced, the Anglophone should be displaced from the cycle, so that the thing should remain only within their ranks. I don't know how true it is.
Yeah.
I might not be able to narrate it the way the person put it, but it's somebody who is actually nose dive into the broken regime. Yeah.
Well, we'll be watching and to see what
watching
happens.
closely. Watching closely, because we're not just going to be watching, but we have to be watching closely.
If Philimon Yang was somebody who is ambitious, I would say, well, they shipped him to the United Nations to stop his ambition of becoming their president. But he is not somebody who is ambitious. So,
well, let's see. Anyway, let's just see how it ends up. But I think our eyes should be on the ball. Which is the liberation.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the phone line still open. Go ahead and call and let's know what is on your mind. Hi, comrade. I thought you had a rally today at the UN headquarters as announced. What went wrong? Nothing went wrong. I just wasn't able to make it there. Nothing went wrong. I'm waiting to get reports from the UN rally. I just wasn't able to get there myself. From Texas to New York is a it's a 2 days drive, just to make it short. 2 solid days drive. Okay. All right. So, good evening, our president. We are watching you from Bello County. Thank you for the updates. All right. Thank you, sir. From Bello. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I would like to emphasize the fact that lockdown does not extend to the 23rd again. Lockdown does not extend to the 23rd. Lockdown ends on the 16th and the 17th. Schools begin. Schools begin. All right. Do not be intimidated by any means. I see somebody just sent me a statement here from Cho Ayaba. He says September 09 to 23, lockdown of Ambazonia and borders. That is nonsense. That is completely nonsense. September 24 to 30th, preparation towards what, October 1, that is acceptable, with no lockdown, of course. And October 1 is our Independence Day, our national day. So please, get your children ready for schools beginning September 17. Proprietors, headmasters, principals, students, get ready to resume schools on September the 17th. All right, that is the decision taken by not just the interim government, but the consortium of Ambazonian leaders. Okay, again, the phone number is there. Go ahead and call and make your contribution. Please, Mr. Chris, can we have the videos of those SDOs claiming that BIA has paid school fee for everyone? All right, we will upload it to ABS website so you can have it there. Okay. In the meantime, and in the absence of any phone call, I just once more like to remind every one of us, Ambazonian in the diaspora, that this Sunday we are having our liberation draft. And I would like to seize this opportunity to once more appeal to every one of you out there, wherever you may be in the diaspora. Think of your LGA. Think of your county. Join the town hall on Sunday. Join the town hall on Sunday and support this liberation draft. Support your own county. Support your own LGA. Let's make this a very successful fund drive for Ambazonia. All right. In the absence of any phone calls, ladies and gentlemen, I will call it a night at this moment. Thank you for tuning in and being part of the show. I look forward to coming back here on Monday. So get ready. Thanks and good night.